Last week at Homestead, after some tight racing with Bradley Holly, Abner Acosta came home with his second win of the season, topped only by Holly himself at 3 wins. With a strong second place finish, Holly closed the gap to the top 3 in the season-long championship to only 9 points. But in the year-long championship, finishing 3rd and 5th last race, Thomas Sink and Daniel Knight secured their spots in the championship on points, leaving only 1 spot open to the remaining 5 drivers. Will Colton Lane hang on to the transfer spot? Or will one of the challengers sneak a surprise win and forward their year-long championship hopes? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the penultimate round of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, sponsored by WEBB Hearing Centers, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and joining me in the booth is the cogent Chris Vobie. Our director is Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. The Lady in Black has long been known for confounding newer drivers, but to find out what makes this track too tough to tame, let's take you down to our brand new track guide.
Before Daytona, there was Darlington. In 2020, the track celebrated its 70th anniversary, and despite numerous ups and downs, the track has proved resilient through it all, truly being the track too tough to tame. When Darlington was completed in 1950, there wasn't anything like it in the Southeast. It could only be compared in the U.S. to Indianapolis. Its unique shape is what really does it. This track was designed long before cars could achieve the speeds they do now, and while the asphalt is wide, the actual raceable track surface is very narrow through the turns, and that starts in turns 1 and 2. This is the wide end of the speedway. You'll often see cars enter up high, drift down a touch before coming back up to the wall, and then they try to diamond off turn 2. That's right, the corner actually sharpens from turns 1 and 2. And if you don't nail that turn 2 right, you'll leave a pretty nasty mark on the exit of the turn 2 wall. You fly down the backstretch and hit turns 3 and 4, which are much more symmetrical, but together present a much tighter radius than 1 and 2. You'll tend to enter high and stay high all the way to the exit of 4. When tires start to fade, you'll feel it at this end of the track more. Pretty much only the upper echelon of stock cars race at Darlington. The Cup cars, of course, having their annual Southern 500, a race that's perhaps the toughest 500-mile race on drivers and equipment. Today, here on GSRC and iRacing, Darlington will show us who has nerves of steel as they receive their Darlington stripes. Sit down and hold on for a wild one.
There you saw a couple laps around this very tough track, but Chris, how are they going to be racing around here in the trucks tonight?
Well, this is going to be a track that benefits the drivers that like to rim ride around the top of the track. Look for turn 2 to be a trouble zone here. These guys have struggled on corner exit, especially over there with the trucks being so momentum-based as we've gotten used to over the season. It's going to be the drivers that keep them wound up doing the best, but the guys that are going to be able to make the passes are the ones that figure out a way to make the bottom of the track work. This is going to be a track where these guys need to keep their heads up and their heads on a swivel, so we'll see how this all plays out.
One thing that'll keep your head from swiveling too much is getting some hearing aids from WEBB Hearing Centers. They're family owned and operated since 1972, and they offer top quality hearing aids and service in Arizona. Visit them at WEBB Hearing Centers, that is web with 2 B's, hearingcenters.com.
And our league sponsor, the ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Visit thebuttkicker.com today to view their full line of products.
Okay, so the year-long championship is getting spicy, but before we get to that, so is the season-long championship. Take a look at these drivers' points. The top 3 separated by only 9 points. Bradley Holly, 1 point behind Thomas Sink. Thomas Sink, 8 points behind Daniel Knight. This is going to be intense between all of these drivers, and this is with drop weeks factored in. So, going into the final race of the season, tonight is going to be a huge determining factor there. Then we have Brandon Walter and Mark Kalin tied on points for 4th position, and Austin Hunter only 2 points out of that as well. I mean, it is anybody's game for these top 5 positions. But Chris, why don't you take us through the team standings?
Well, the team standings are tightened up a good amount as well. It's the Jelly Rolls Racing Squad and the Back Row Racing Squad on the top of the charts. 627 points right there with the Riding Shotgun Outlaws next in line. And then we're going to be looking at looking at the Rescue Racing squad number 3, chilling out there in 4th position, 92 points back. Then it gets a little bit of a gap to the Ballistic Union and Cool Runnings, completing your top 6 runners.
And now we bring you to our year-long championship, the Webb Hearing Center's Precision Racing League 2020 Wednesday Truck Playoff Championship, brought to you by ButtKicker, Simulation, Motorsports Affinity, Ninja Trader, and GSRC. And take a look at that. Bradley Holly and Daniel Knight, as well as Thomas Sink, secured into the championship 4. That leaves just one spot open, with Colton Lane in the current transfer spot. Brandon Walter down there just 11 points back, but he's got Charles Sumner and Austin Hunter for close company. Brett Adams in a must-win scenario going into this race, so look for him to try and make his way to the front of the pack by whatever means necessary to make it into that final championship 4 spot. So it's going to be a tough one tonight, Chris, but let's take you through the race details today.
That's right. This is the penultimate round of the season, 9 of 10 races that we'll have. 95 laps is the distance here for the 1 1/3-ish mile track that we have in front of us. The 3 spare sets of tires, so including the one starting on the trucks, that's going to be 4 sets of tires at their disposal. And this track will eat them up like a cheese grater. It is a fixed setup race with a 24 incident limit, so everybody's on a level playing field, but they do have to play nice.
So practice still going on track right now. About 2.5 minutes left of that. Currently Bradley Holly leading the boards in front of Thomas Sink and Charles Sumner. Daniel Knight down there in the 7th position on times right now, but that's only 1/10 off of the top time. Now, one note is that we do have one penalty still left outstanding coming into this race, as Greg Corzin, if he decides to show up tonight, he will have to start from the back of the field to serve that penalty. Currently I do not see him, so I don't believe he'll be able to serve that penalty tonight, but it's looking very tight up there for those times. Chris, how important is qualifying going to be today?
Well, like we touched on earlier in the show, Adam, this track's going to be very hard to pass on because the quick way around the track is the high part of the track. So if you want to be fast, you got to be able to pass on the inside. When you factor in, that's going to be hurting the tires trying to get the car pulled to the bottom of the track. So the further forward you start, the better odds of you staying up there at the end of the race.
All right, now I want you to pop open another browser and open GSRC.tv, and then also grab a pencil, I know, what are those, or a notepad, and write down these names: Colton Lane, Brandon Walter, Charles Sumner, Austin Hunter, and Brett Adams. Those are the guys you're going to be wanting to watch tonight, who are battling for that last transition spot into the championship 4. Those guys are going to be there. Brandon Walter's 11 points behind Colton Lane, so that's about 6 or 7 positions on track. So keep your eyes on those guys at GSRC.tv in order to keep track of those drivers. About 50 seconds left in practice today. Everyone doing a great job trying to run around here and trying to make it, trying to get those times in. We're seeing a lot of people struggling with the corner exit. Darlington's a very unique corner exit when it comes to trying to get speed down the straightaways.
Yeah, that's a really fair point. Different diameter turns from one end of the track to the other, and that makes things difficult when you're getting off the corner, because you have one straightaway that widens out and one that does not. So it is a very difficult track. I mean, back in 1950, when this track was being built, it was basically not quite the level of engineering that we have on these tracks today. This track was built with a minnow pond being a factor as to how the track was laid out. And because of that, it was built to form less than function. And so that's why we have such a difficult track to race here in Darlington.
That being said, it is a track that has made many memories and had tons of impressive races over the years, but now we enter into our qualifying. Each driver will have 2 laps to set a time. They'll be in their own little private session that runs concurrently with all the rest of the drivers. So you won't see multiple drivers on track, but we'll keep track of those little mini sessions ourselves as we bring you those shots. That's the number 21 machine of Adam Young getting out there on track. Early out there to start his times. Looks like we have Stacy Hunter and Austin Hunter also coming out there. Baron Hilton also starting one of his flying laps. So Adam Young will probably be our first one to the line here, and it'll be interesting to see how he tackles Darlington.
Yeah, I'm going to assume for the most part these drivers are going to want to stick up towards the top of the track, 1, to build the momentum, and 2, because it's the quick way around the track.
Here we go, Adam Young starting that first flying lap. Doing a good job making a nice diamond of that first couple of corners. That's going to be a great way to make some time around here, especially in these trucks with the way they are set up at this moment. You can see him sticking to the high line through 3 and 4, though, trying to maintain the momentum. He's going to get a decent run off of the corner. 1 and 2 can be taken a lot faster than 3 and 4, and that's why you're seeing those drivers do that. So Adam Young up to the top provisionally. Austin Hunter tucks in behind him. Adam Young's time at 28.449.
Yeah, this is a track where you're definitely going to see things happen fast for these drivers because of kind of the bumpy nature of the track. It feels like you're on a roller coaster and you're barely in control, if you ever really can have the illusion of control here.
So Adam's second lap, unfortunately, hit the outside wall, so it's not going to count for him. Baron Hilton coming across the line this time by. It looks like he set a 28.515, but Brendan Chatley goes up to the top of the boards with his second lap. That's a great time for him, a 28.417, but most of the field still waiting in the pits to start out, trying to see whether or not we get a little bit of a cloud cover over here that might help these drivers with the tire wear.
Interestingly enough, it's not a particularly warm track out there today, Adam. It's 82 degrees track temperature, which really for South Carolina isn't particularly hot. But again, that southern asphalt just grates those tires a little bit differently than we see at tracks outside of that southeast area.
Absolutely, and with no wind to speak of, these drivers won't be tackling that. That's often something that can come up here at Darlington just based upon the way that the track is set up. But here's Bradley Holly starting his first flying lap. He is looking to have some good times up there because remember, he's only 9 points out of the season-long championship win. If he can get both championships this season, that'd be impressive. But he has Thomas Sink and Daniel Knight to contend with, and both of them are in the hunt for both championships as well.
That's right. Between the season-long championship, the team's championship, and the year-long championship, there's a lot of stuff at play in this race today, Adam.
Absolutely. Bradley Holly currently on his team in the lead of the team's championship. Bradley going to the 4 right now with a 28.395. Definitely the fastest lap we've seen so far. That's about 2 hundredths of a second faster than Brendan Chatley. Currently on his second lap. Second laps haven't been quite as quick this particular qualifying session. You can see him struggling a little bit off of 4 to get the power down. Let's see what his time is. Wow, Daniel Knight up to the top of the spot now with a 28.372.
Also looks like Abner Acosta snuck a pretty fast lap in there. He's slotted in 4th, Adam.
Here he comes around for his second lap, and it's going to be a little bit slower, so the second lap's not quite as quick, but Daniel Knight currently on top of the charts right now, and he comes across his second lap not as quick, and it's not going to count either, so it looks like he did hit the exit of 4. Here's Thomas Sink, though. He hasn't set a lap time. Let's see whether or not he can go to the pole. Ooh, a 28.7. That's not going to be quite good enough, unfortunately, and it didn't count either, so Thomas Sink tucked a little bit far back, currently in 18th position. Colton Lane just starting on one of his fast flying laps, but here's Brett Adams in a must-win scenario to transfer into the championship 4. What kind of a time can he put in? Oh, Mark Kalin spinning across the line. 29 flats, not going to count for him, unfortunately. So Daniel Knight has parked it. Bradley Holly's parked it. Thomas Sink is going to start in 18th provisionally right now. All eyes on Brett Adams right now as he's trying to come around and complete this lap. He's only got 14 seconds left in the time, so he's only going to have this one lap to be representative. So let's see what kind of a time he gets. It's a 28.561. And that's only going to be good enough for 16th position right now. But that's going to take us to the grid. That's going to be Daniel Knight on pole with Bradley Holly in second position. How often have we seen those two guys on the front row this season? Brendan Chatley is going to start off in 3rd, a good qualifying for him, with Abner Acosta coming off of a win, starting off in 4th position. Charles Sumner very consistently in the top 10. This race is going to start off in the top 5 and 5th, with Mike Richter alongside him in row 3. Adam Young, his best qualifying of the season, starts off in 7th, with Mark Kalin alongside him in 8th. Nicholas Schwartz and Doug Evans are going to round out your top 10.
Just outside of the top 10, a great performance for Baron Hilton. He'll start 11th on the grid with Danny Cervantes to his outside. Row number 7 is going to be Brandon Walter in the 99 with Austin Hunter in the 312 to his outside. one of those drivers that are trying to fight their way into the championship for Colton Lane starts 15th with another driver that got a win to make it on. That's Brett Adams starting 16th. Nicholas Hunter will start 17th with Adam Shane to his outside. Thomas Sink relegated to 19th, one of our season championship contenders. And then Stacy Hunter completes the top 20.
Jose Medina is going to start off in 21st alongside Matthew Kolnick in 22nd. Brian Traver on row 12 next to Dominic Bagine, the first truck not to set a lap time. Adam Zemke is going to line up in 25th with Doyle Lawrence alongside him, with Kyle Strykars and John LeBaff rounding out your 28 truck field. What a fantastic field we have tonight, and it's definitely an intense race. A lot to play for tonight, Chris.
A lot is on the line, and this is a very intense track to have a race with such big implications behind it. So look for this one to have some drivers with some gritted teeth and a lot of attitude.
Absolutely. Do you want to offer a happy birthday out to the 109 truck? That's Nicholas Hunter, who's racing tonight on his birthday, currently starting off in the 17th position. Nicholas looking to make up some positions towards the beginning of this race. He's been quick before. Often we see him battling for top 10 positions. Let's see what he can do at Darlington here tonight. So the Mustang pace car will lead them off. Daniel Knight will start in the lead of this race. Quite a few truck drivers are scrubbing off those tires just a little bit, trying to get some warmth into them. Do you really expect tire wear to be that much of a factor here tonight, Chris?
It's I think it's one of those things that people are going to want to err on the side of caution with. It may not be a huge factor at points throughout the race, but it has so much potential to really make or break how this race plays out.
So Daniel Knight will lead them to the line. He has been very good at being fast in short runs, but on the longer runs, he seems to struggle a little bit with tire wear management. Let's see how that plays out, as he's going to be starting off alongside Bradley Hawley. Abner Acosta, who's lined up behind Bradley Hawley, caught Bradley on the longer run last week towards the end of the race and ended up winning that race. So Brendan Chatley is usually very consistent on long runs as well. So the Mustang pace car pulls off, and here we go with Daniel Knight leading them to the line. As usual, they're going to wait quite a while until they get onto the front straight on this initial start. He's going to wait until the drop of the green flag, and that will give Bradley Hawley a good opportunity. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. Daniel Knight currently leads over Bradley Hawley, but Bradley on that outside line may have the preferred lines to go through 1 and 2. Daniel's going to send it in.
Well, Bradley got a great start there, was able to hang with Daniel up into turn number 1, but now is going to go for a crossover as they head down the back straightaway. No love lost between these two. It has been a tooth and nail fight for the championship all season long.
Excellent job from everybody exiting turns 1 and 2 fairly safely, with the exception of Matthew Kolnick, who fell behind. I think he might have hit the wall a little bit, but look at this. Bradley Hawley looking to the inside just a little bit there of Daniel Knight as they go into 3 and 4, going to 1 and 2 this time by everyone, just doing a very good job. Single file already for the front couple of positions, all the way back to about 10th, where we have Doug Evans battling with Barron Hilton.
Yeah, this early part of the run is where you want to be cognizant of catching that Darlington stripe, where you get into that outside wall, scrape up the side of the truck, and you can see already a challenge for the lead. Hawley ducks back in line. He'll bide his time a little bit here.
Hawley making a great job trying to make that move work, but unfortunately Daniel Knight very, very strong on the high side. He almost clipped the outside wall as well, trying to exit that corner, but Bradley Hawley looks like he's got some really good space coming off of 2. It's going into 3 and 4 where he seems to struggle a little bit. He gives a little bit of a bump to Daniel Knight going into 3 and 4, trying to send him up the track, but Daniel very calmly gets that truck back under control as they exit 3 and 4, crossing the line, completing lap 3.
This is another one of those tracks, Adam, where it's really hard to get into a rhythm. When you have two ends of the track that are totally different, it can throw off your game a little bit. Maybe this is just a me problem, but I know sometimes when I get really into a race, I'll forget if I'm on the front stretch or the back stretch. And when you do that, sometimes when you're heading off into the next turn, you don't know whether it's going to be the big wide turn or if it's going to be the tight turn.
Like present here, and back straight can feel a little bit the same as you go across the stripe, this time by starting on to lap 5 in this race. We could definitely see where Bradley Holly's better in 1 and 2. He seems to get a nice later exit than Daniel Knight, and that actually allows him to gain some speed. There he is, bumping the rear bumper there of Daniel Knight as they go off into 3 and 4 once again, trying to pressure Daniel into a mistake, and Daniel makes one. He's in the outside wall.
Daniel Knight hits the Darlington stripe along the right side of that truck, and we got a new leader up front, the 184 of Bradley Holly. Now Knight is under assault from the 59 of Brendan Chatley for that runner-up position.
Daniel Knight looking a little bit loose through the center of 1 and 2. Both Bradley and Daniel looking loose there. We do have a crashed truck at the bottom of the track. That's Matthew Kolnick, who's lost an engine. He's still running, though, so we are still green. Matthew Kolnick pulling over to the side of the road. He's going to try and make it back to the start-finish line. That's going to be a tough trundle from there. But as we go back to the lead, pack right now, Daniel Knight has gotten back to the back bumper of Bradley Holly and trying to put pressure on him as they enter 1 and 2.
This is a track where it is very easy to make a mistake, and unfortunately when you're in a championship battle as tight as these two are right now, mistakes are not something that you can afford. Ooh, and Knight gets into the wall again.
As you said, he can ill afford mistakes right now, trying to hold on to the season-long championship. But here comes Abner Acosta with a great run on Brendan Chatley, taking advantage of Chatley checking up because of Daniel Knight's incident. He's going to look to the bottom side, and Brendan Chatley hits the outside wall pretty decently. A nice bump there. That's going to lose him that position, move Abner Acosta up to 3rd.
You know, one of the interesting facts about the Darlington Raceway, the part that you see these guys racing on was actually designed to be a safety road on the outside of the track. Inside of that stripe line is actually where the racetrack was originally designed to be, but the drivers figured out pretty early on that the banked part of the track was the fast way, and that's what's turned into the racing course here at Darlington.
Always the interesting history notes here. It's amazing to see how racing has changed over the years, but look at this, a huge gap from Adam Young in 6th all the way back down to Mike Richter. That's 1.8 seconds, so we have 2 groups now, the top 6 and then the rest of the pack. So everyone else running fairly cleanly right now, but seems like most of the drivers are struggling. We see Doug Evans there. That was the 41 truck in the pearl blue underneath the 44 of Nicholas Schwartz, who just hit the outside wall really hard. So lots of drivers in this second pack are battling very hard.
Yeah, that Darlington stripe is going to be something we see throughout this race, especially in turns 3 and 4. It is so hard to keep the truck off the wall, and it seems like once you get there, you can't pull it away.
That is Baron Hilton, who's already got his Darlington stripe. You can see the right rear spoiler on that truck. Oh, and that's Nicholas Schwartz into the outside wall. So a bunch of truck drivers. Oh, Daniel Knight's had some trouble as well. Daniel Knight's hit the outside wall even harder, and he's dropping back. So lots of drivers starting to struggle now. And Daniel Knight, current season points leader, is really struggling. Here's the replay.
We're going to ride along here past the start-finish line into turns 1 and 2.
Fortunately, it doesn't look like it's too much damage, but then he gets pushed to the outside by Abner Acosta on the exit. That's where most of the damage came from.
Yeah, he really pancaked the wall there going down the straightaway.
And he's lost a lot of speed now as we jump back to him. That's him in front. And this is the top 4 that we're looking at right now. Bradley Holly out to about a second lead. We've had a wreck. Nicholas Schwartz all the way down to the bottom of the track. He's looking for pit lane. And something happened back there with him and Doyle Lawrence.
Yeah, Schwartz just had an absolute nightmare the last few laps. He got into the wall a couple different times, as we talked about. But you can watch us follow along here. Looks like a bit of a Darrell Waltrip tribute scheme on the 44 machine here tonight.
So Schwartz is up in front of Doyle Lawrence at the moment. Oh, it looks like he might have possibly blown his engine coming off the corner, but there he is down on the bottom of the circuit and pulling into his pit lane. He's going to have a lot of damage to repair. But up at the lead, Bradley Holly currently leads by 8/10 over Abner Acosta. Brendan Chatley currently tucked in behind Abner, with Charles Sumner just about half a second back as Brendan Chatley actually hit the outside wall, collecting his Darlington stripe of the day. Here comes Sumner to make the pass.
Yeah, the 59's just gonna be basically a sitting duck here for the next couple laps. It's really hard once you get into the wall like that to get the momentum back up, and he just gets the wall again. So he's just gonna pull over and give himself a chance to gather it back up. But once you lose the plot here at Darlington, it's really hard to get back on your game.
Oh, a little bit of contact between him and Daniel Knight. They're both very slow on track right now. This is giving an opportunity to Mike Richter, who's trying to look on these guys for possibly a pass, but he's hit the outside wall as well. So I'm going to be surprised if we have any trucks with an intact right rear spoiler by the end of this race, Chris.
You know, one thing that's really cool that we're going to see here, I think, develop throughout this race is we're going to see some different drivers up towards the front of the field, I think. These kind of niche tracks like Darlington that races differently than anything else we race on, it's really going to show the talents of some drivers that maybe don't get highlighted week in and week out. So I'm really excited to see some of the drivers that will show up here as this race goes on.
That was our ButtKicker on board with Mike Richter as he was chasing down Brendan Chatley and able to make a move. We've separated out pretty decently in the middle in the front of the field right now. But where things are a little bit tighter is for 9th position with Danny Cervantes leading Doug Evans and Brett Adams. Remember, Brett Adams in a must-win scenario tonight to make it into the championship 4, and he's trying to work on Doug Evans, who's tucked in up ahead of him.
Well, Adam, it looks like at least momentarily everybody's settling down a little bit after a harrowing opening 18 laps here.
If we could drop down to the number 48 truck of Thomas Sink. Thomas Sink, remember, he's currently in the fight for the season-long championship, trying to make positions right now. He's currently battling with Brett Adams, who's in that must-win scenario. He's got Doug Evans up ahead of him, and just ahead of them, we have Danny Cervantes and Adam Young. Looks like Adams hit the outside wall and is struggling on pace as well. So as we see, oh wow, everyone gonna get held up here. Brett Adams really hits the outside wall, and our first caution of the day. Not quite a caution yet, as it looks like Thomas Sink's going to slide up in front of the track. No caution still as trucks pile into him. That was Colton Lane who's trying to make a transfer. Still green here.
Well, this is definitely going to have some major championship implications. We're going to go back and ride along here with the 48.
So while this is happening, the race is still live, as we see right there. Everyone holding up, trying to get around Adam Young. That's the 48 of Thomas Sink, who pulls up in front of Colton Lane. Those two make contact. That's major damage for them. The race still green as we're in this replay. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, you got to feel for Thomas Sink. He was just trying to lock it down and prevent himself from being hit a little bit worse, and you can see him right there. That truck is just dog walking down the track.
All the leaders are having to figure out their way through this. That's Ryan Traver, who just almost hit the outside wall. That's Bradley Hawley, went down below him. Here's Abner Acosta with a good run. I don't know where NASCAR's looking. They're not throwing the yellow flag for any of this. These guys are all just having to figure it out like we're at a multi-class race at Bathurst or something.
Well, that's a solid point. This is a pretty unique go of it. The iRacing programming, they're being pretty liberal, or I should say pretty stingy with that yellow flag.
So as we continue now, it looks like most things have sorted out at this point. Baron Hilton, Thomas Sink, Colton Lane, all in the pits for significant repairs. We're looking at Bradley Hawley as he's trying to get his way around John Bath. He'll go around the outside of that corner. Abner Acosta will swap it up and do the inside. Abner gaining significantly on Bradley Hawley because of himself getting caught up behind Ryan Traver. But holy smokes, I'm just guessing that these truck drivers are trying to find a place to catch their breath at this point, Chris.
Yeah, I would hate to be literally anybody on that track right now trying to navigate this. We have a battle going on for position right here. Brendan Chatley still trying to get things wound back up, and Mike Richter making some pretty good progress.
Chatley in the purple and green machine. Oh, door-to-door contact between Richter and Chatley. That's Richter on the bottom side, Chatley on the high side as they come off of 1 and 2 there. Chatley's going to get a significant advantage because Richter had to back it off after making that door-to-door contact. Richter's got some more damage to that truck as Mark Kalin now trying to get past Danny Cervantes behind. Couldn't quite do it on the entry to that corner. And we now have a pass for third with Daniel Knight making his way past Charles Sumner, who's collected a lot more damage. So everything cracking off here, lap 25. This has been an insane first half of the race, Chris.
Yeah, and looks like Colton Lane, one of the drivers involved in that incident, has retired from this event. So unfortunately, that may be the final nail in the coffin for his championship hopes.
I believe it will be, because Brandon Walters currently running in 10th, and he's the next driver trying to get in that transfer spot. But Charles Sumner currently up in 4th, might have passed him on track for that final transfer spot. We're going to have to keep our eyes out for all these drivers. But there you see Daniel Knight in 3rd, trying to make his way back up to Abner Acosta and Bradley Hawley, who are now nose to tail once again for the lead. These two drivers have been going non-stop here as we're on lap 26, entering lap 27 of this race. I'm still flabbergasted we didn't get a caution for Thomas Sink coming all the way across the track into the racing line, Chris.
Yeah, I'm not sure if something changed with the way iRacing judges cautions or not, but that probably should have been a caution about 3 times over, and I'm absolutely gobsmacked that we stayed green through all that.
And we've just had some major contact between the 51 of Mike Richter and the 25 of Danny Cervantes, and they're still making contact as they go through 3 and 4. These two drivers battling for 6th position as they come off a 3 and 4. You can see the major damage to Cervantes' left rear as he goes by here. You can see just how much damage he has. He collected that from getting door-to-door contact with Richter through 1 and 2 last lap. So those two drivers now settling out their differences, but Cervantes much worse off for it.
Yeah, I believe it would be easier for us at this point to talk about drivers that don't have damage.
I'll see if I can find you one, Chris.
Yeah,
it's going to be a real challenge.
Slim pickings out there for that one.
Well, I believe the leading driver who doesn't have damage would be our leader, Bradley Hawley. So 184 doesn't look like he's pancaked the outside wall yet. So, and you may seem like I'm being fatalistic about that, but with the amount of pancaking we've seen from these drivers tonight, it seems like an inevitability at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it is Darlington. It's not that hard to slap the wall and just keep going.
We're going to try and calm it down here and ride on board with Bradley Hawley for a couple laps as he tries to navigate Jose Medina, Nicholas Hunter, and Austin Hunter, who are all up ahead of him, and see how the 184 is managing to get around this track that clearly is too tough to tame tonight.
Yeah, you can definitely say the Lady in Black is not a happy camper today.
So here he goes through. Oh wow, just doing a swap over there very late. Had to do very late there off of 1 and 2. So Bradley Hawley losing time. There you see Abner Acosta gaining. Abner actually hit the outside wall of 3 and 4 last lap. You see him backed off significantly this time to make sure he doesn't do the same thing. So Abner's picked up his Darlington stripe now.
That'll add another one to the list of drivers with damage to their car or truck.
Nicholas Hunter hits the outside wall as Bradley Hawley goes around him. Oh boy. So as they run, let's just give you a rundown here a little bit. Bradley Hawley in the lead with Abner Acosta in 2nd place. Daniel Knight still managing 3rd, even though he's off the pace, now 1.8 seconds behind. Charles Sumner 2 seconds behind Daniel in 4th. And Mike Richter 5 seconds behind in 5th, still managing to hold off Danny Cervantes. And here's that battle. Very close with Danny behind.
And you can see just a couple different approaches to navigating that corner in the track.
You see Mike Richter covering off that bottom side just a little bit, trying to break the draft, but Danny Cervantes is going to send it deep into the corner. He's going to try and do it around the outside. Richter holding on onto the bottom lane, which is an interesting decision as they come off of 3 and 4. Cervantes can't get a run.
Yeah, that's part of the challenge here at Darlington. If you can make that bottom line work for you, I really think it helps, but it is going to eat away the tires a lot quicker.
So Cervantes trying to swap it up, trying to get that bottom line this time by. Mike Richter went to the high side to do that late apex off of 2 that we saw work well for Bradley Holly at the beginning of the run. But these drivers now 35 laps into their first stint of tires, Chris, and that could really be negatively affecting them when it comes to tire wear.
Well, we know how hard this track is to drive in a perfect scenario. Now, once the tires are worn down like they are, it becomes even harder to navigate as you see these two still duking it out for position. Oh, and contact!
Is this going to bring out a caution? It doesn't look like it.
Yep, yeah, caution out.
Oh, praise the Lord. I think every driver on the field's going to be saying that right now. Here's the contact. We're going to see it on the replay again.
Well, comparative to that incident earlier, this was a pretty tame moment. Looks like just a crossover got a little bit mistimed by these two, and Cervantes makes contact with 51 and sends him around.
51 managing to get out of the racing line, but unfortunately he had been turned backwards in the middle of the racing line, so iRacing has brought out the caution. Unfortunately, this is going to give everybody an opportunity to come in for tires and I'm guessing repairs.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some repairs needed. After all that shook out, we only had 15 trucks on the lead lap coming into this one, Adam.
It's absolutely insane. 36 laps in, 15 trucks on the lead lap, and they're all in the pit lane. Let's see who just takes tires and who decides to stay in for a little bit of damage repair. Bradley Holly and Abner Acosta. Well, Abner's hit the wall, Knight's hit the wall, we know that. Bradley Holly's going to be the only one who doesn't need to take any repairs, I think, out of these top 3. As you see, they pull into their boxes here. Bradley first into his box. Daniel last into his box out of these top 3. Let's see whether anyone stays a bit longer here.
I am very curious to see if anybody determines damage is needed. And Bradley Holly with a great exit out of the pits, and looks like Daniel Knight's gonna leapfrog Abner Acosta.
Yeah, that end of the pit lane pit stall really working out for him that time. His pit stop was, wow, he was faster than Bradley Holly on pit lane time as well, so that final pit stall definitely working out for him this time. So as they come off the pit lane, Bradley Holly leads over Daniel Knight, Abner Acosta, Charles Sumner, Brandon Walter, Nicholas Hunter, Adam Zemke, Mark Kalin, Adam Shane, and Doyle Lawrence. And Nicholas Hunter coming back into the pits, but Chris, quite a few of those drivers decided to take damage repairs. Mark Kalin, Adam Shane, and Doyle Lawrence, out of our top 10, all decided to stay in the pit lane a little bit longer and get some of that sheet metal bang back out.
Well, a lot of these trucks were definitely worse for wear, so I'm not surprised we had a few takers trying to get that damage repaired. I mean, some of these trucks were pretty beat up.
So Brandon Walter up there in 5th position, right behind Charles Sumner, is going to mean that I believe Brandon Walter at this point would transfer into the Championship 4 if they were to finish like this. Charles Sumner's only 3 points behind in the year-long championship battle. So let's take a look at Thomas Sink and see where he is, which is not great. He's been in the pits for 10 minutes, and I think that this, to be honest, Chris, might be his season-long championship battle over.
Yeah, and it's a shame because he was really making good progress through the field. He started pretty deep, but it made his way up to 12th at the time of the incident. So it's got to be very frustrating to have been running so well after struggles in qualifying, and unfortunately things not working out for him.
So Thomas Sink, unfortunately, out of that championship fight, but still in it for the round of 4. So he's got something to look forward to, something to work towards for next race. He and the rest of the Waterback guys are going to be looking forward to trying to hold on to that, hold on to the top 2 positions in the team's championship. But the lights are out on the pace car. Bradley Holly leads them back to the line with Daniel Knight, Abner Acosta, Charles Sumner, Brandon Walter, your top 5. Bradley Holly will take them to the green, and with Daniel Knight's engine damage, I'm pretty sure he's going to get away pretty cleanly. The question is, can Charles Sumner or Abner Acosta bring the challenge to these guys up in front, or will Daniel Knight have more pace than we're expecting? We're about to find out as the Mustang pace car prepares to pull off in the middle of 3 and 4 here. Everybody take a deep breath. And as the pace car pulls off, Bradley Holly is going to go to the line. He's going to wait. He's going to wait. Keep waiting, and now he goes, and he gets a great jump over Daniel Knight, whose truck does not seem to be going anywhere, but he pulls down in front of Abner Acosta anyway. Abner looking to the outside. Looks like Charles Sumner's going to fall in line as well. The first side-by-side battle right now between Adam Zemke and Brandon Walter as those two side-by-side for 5th position. As we go off of turns 1 and 2, it's going to be Bradley Holly, Daniel Knight, Abner Acosta, Charles Sumner.
Yeah, Daniel Knight's best bet right now is to make that truck as wide as he possibly can. He may be lacking some pace right now because of damage, but the best he can do is try to keep everyone behind him for as long as possible.
Absolutely, that's going to be the only way he's going to manage to keep those points down. Remember, Bradley Holly is currently chasing Daniel Knight by 9 points in the season-long championship. So this win would give him a 5-point bump. Daniel would get an extra point for the pole position. Bradley Holly's probably going to get the extra point for leading the most laps unless something catastrophic happens in the next 10 laps. So that means that it would even out to about 5 points between the two drivers. This would put Bradley Holly within 4 points of Daniel Knight by the end of this race. But not everything is said and done, because can Daniel Knight hold on to that second position with a charging Abner Acosta and a charging Charles Sumner?
Yeah, I mean, despite some damage to their machine, you got to think Abner Acosta has been very fast all day, and Charles Sumner having a really good run there in 4th.
So the top 5 have broken out to about a 0.8-second lead over Adam Shane, who's just now trying to gather that truck up. He's trying to hold on Adam Shane and Mark Palin for that 6th position. Adam trying to hold on to that position as we see Daniel Knight. You can see him just falling away from Bradley Holly. Bradley, one of the few undamaged trucks on this track and one of the faster drivers. You can see him really start to pull away.
Yeah, you really have to think a track like this is going to benefit the driving style of a Bradley Holly. He is pretty well versed on every type of track these guys race on, and on top of that, he is pretty handy at saving tires and pretty good for difficult tracks. So this is right in Bradley Holly's wheelhouse here today.
Starting to heat up as Daniel Knight leads Abner Acosta, Charles Sumner, and Brandon Walter for that second position. And now right tucked in behind Charles Sumner, Abner Acosta. Definitely looks like he's going to try and find a way by, but Brandon Walter already looking on Charles Sumner for that 4th position. Took a look to the inside this time by, couldn't get anything done.
Great view there down the straightaway of the corner. You can see, once again, everybody running a slightly different line here at Darlington. This is a track that's a blank canvas when it comes to interpreting the quickest way to drive. As you see a pass coming up here.
Yeah, Daniel Knight's weakness off of turn 2 comes back to bite him once again as Abner Acosta gets that low side, but he can't get the power down off of 3 and 4. He's going to have to fall back in line behind Daniel Knight. I think he might consider taking it a little deep into 3 and 4 if he gets another run like that again.
Yeah, and Abner really wants a shot to win this race. He's going to have to make a move sooner than later. Bradley Holly is just driving off into the sunset right now, and Abner really can ill afford to stay back there behind Daniel Knight much longer.
Just a reminder that if you want to keep track of your favorite driver, take a look at GSRC.tv. That's where we have live timing and scoring. And one of those drivers you want to keep your eyes on is Brett Adams in that must-win scenario for the championship 4. He's currently in 9th position, holding solidly there, but not really gaining any ground. These top 5 are where the battle is. Bradley Holly off to that 1.5-second lead. Abner Acosta still looking for a way by Daniel Knight. But all these guys have damage, and you can see them struggling.
Yeah, there's a lot of hurt trucks out there right now.
It's going to be interesting once these trucks start to wear off their tires and to see what the different wear patterns are. As we see Daniel Knight going very wide through 1 and 2 there. He got way up in the gray, and that's going to mean his exit's a little bit compromised, but Abner Acosta not quite close enough to capitalize as they go into 3 and 4, but you see how close he's getting to the rear bumper of Daniel Knight as they go through the corner. He's going to try and follow him off and get a good slingshot through 1 and 2 and possibly make that overtake on the inside that we saw a couple laps ago. see him backing off, trying to set up the exit of the corner. Daniel Knight a little bit stronger that time off of 1 and 2. Charles Sumner possibly keeping Abner Acosta a little occupied in the rearview mirror there. They're going to be very tight as they go through 3 and 4. All 3 of these trucks underneath 1 second.
This is a great battle going on for the second spot, and it seems like the longer Daniel Knight holds the spot, the more people that are getting drawn into this battle. You see Abner Acosta there, Charles Sumner right there as well, and Brandon Walters sticking his nose in the battle as well.
The 2 Adams have joined the fray as well. Adam Shane, Adam Zemke, Mark Kalin, and Brett Adams is going to round out this group if they keep getting held up by Daniel Knight. So this all could really start to develop a little bit into a really defining moment in the championship if these guys aren't careful. And it's going to be interesting to see how much longer Abner's going to play patient behind Daniel Knight, knowing that he's losing a bunch of time to Bradley Holly ahead.
Adam, I just realized we have a lot of people involved in this race with the name Adam somewhere in their name.
Absolutely, I'm one of them. But here we go, Abner Acosta with a good run, and he does send it deep into the corner, but Daniel Knight trying to carry the momentum off. Abner's going to give him room. They're going to go side by side as they cross the stripe. That's going to be Daniel Knight with the lead this lap. But let's see whether Abner sends it deep into 1 and 2 this time by. He does. They go side by side through the corner once again. This is so hard to do in these trucks. Abner looking for a little bit of a momentum push off of 1 and 2, is able to get it, but here comes the lap truck of Thomas Sink. Where's Thomas going to go? He's going to dive to the apron and let these trucks go by side. Abner Acosta setting it deep into 3 and 4 once again. Daniel Knight clipping a little bit, but he's going to take a late apex off of the corner. He's going to try and go side by side with Acosta. Acosta's going to lead this lap on the lap 54.
Abner Acosta with the advantage. He's now up in the preferred groove here at Darlington, but he's got to be aware of the 17 pinching him off into the wall. That is something that can happen. Oh, and he gets the safer barrier down the backstretch. So Daniel Knight's going to have a fortuitous turn there as he now inches ahead as they go off into turns 3 and 4. He'll have him clear, but now Acosta goes for the crossover as they head down the straightaway.
An often common complaint of drivers was the addition of that safer barrier on the exit and entrance of the corners. It definitely takes away a little bit of that momentum that you can get, but look at this. Abner Acosta clears Daniel Knight. Is Daniel Knight going to try and do the crossover? No, he stays in line this time. Abner Acosta will lead for genuine purposes off of 1 and 2, but he's 2.5 seconds behind Bradley Holly, who's clear of these guys.
Yeah, I really think Abner probably stayed behind Daniel for too long for this one. He's going to need a caution or something to draw him back in and reset this one.
You're going to have to need Daniel Knight to not make this move. He goes to the bottom side once again. As these guys keep battling, those top 9 are now tucked in right behind these guys. They're going to have to be careful because Charles Sumner's right on the rear bumper of Daniel Knight, now looking for his own way by.
Yeah, Charles Sumner, one you got to watch out for. He is known for making those quiet races. Oh, and they stack up. Knight gets into the wall, and Sumner piles in. Brandon Walter nowhere to go. He ducks onto the apron.
Almost 3 wide as they go into the corner. That's going to be 2 wide, though, between Charles. Oh, there's contacted behind. Mark Kalin gets into Adam Shane. Brett Adams is involved in it. They're all going to stay green, but there was contact in the back of the field there. Mark Kalin and Adam Shane trying to get back on track now.
Well, that's a tough break for another one of our drivers trying to race his way into the championship 4.
Going into the corner, Mark Kalin comes up the track just a little bit too much and gets into Adam Shane, causing that contact. Brett Adams does get a healthy amount of contact to the door. He's now 2.5 seconds behind Brandon Walter, who's still battling for that 5th position. Here's that battle once again. Daniel Knight still holding on to 3rd with Charles Sumner 4th, Brandon Walter 5th. Daniel Knight needs every point possible because every position he loses is Bradley Holly closing ever closer to the season championship lead. At this point, they would nearly be tied heading into the final round 2 weeks from now. Oh, Daniel Knight deep into the corner. Charles Sumner able to hold a better line, but he gets held up behind Daniel Knight. Wow, these guys are really pushing it now on these older tires. 21 laps into this stint.
You can tell those tires are worn out as well as the drivers, as things are right on the ragged edge right now, Adam.
This is where we saw a lot of the mistakes happen last race as well. Charles Sumner trying to hold on to that position in fourth, trying to get up there and challenge Daniel Knight. Daniel Knight really having to work hard to try and diamond these corners at this point. His right front just crying for relief here. 59 laps complete this time by for Bradley Holly. It's going to be tight for these drivers to make it to the end. On these tires, they're going to have to really struggle and work hard to keep this thing off of the wall.
As intense as this has been, Adam, we still have about 45 laps left in this one, a 95-lap race to the distance today.
Continue to go through the corner. Charles Sumner just has not been able to find a way by Daniel Knight there. Brandon Walter tucked in behind them. Remember, Brandon Walter ahead of Charles Sumner in the championship long points by 3 points coming into this race, but with Charles Sumner up ahead of him in fourth. That's going to change things, but Daniel Knight hits the outside wall. Here comes the opportunity for Charles Sumner. Is he going to look to the inside? Yes, he is. Looking to the inside through 1 and 2, but can he carry the momentum through? No, he can't. Daniel Knight holding strong on the outside, trying to do a late apex there. Here comes Brandon Walter with some momentum. He can't get to the back of Charles Sumner. It's all going to stay status quo. And all the while this is going on, Brett Adams is trying to hang on desperately to the 6th position behind these guys, as Danny Cervantes was challenging him, as well as Adam Zemke. Cervantes just hit the outside wall, and Adam Zemke maintained that, closed that position down to 7th. Brett Adams holds on to 6th.
Yeah, we're kind of reaching that lull that we hit in the last run, Adam, where these drivers are all more focused probably on trying to hang on than trying to race too hard. But you got to think there's a lot of hungry drivers out there that would love to make up some positions.
A bunch of drivers who are praying for a caution, but they've been hard to come by today. As we see Daniel Knight really starting to gap Charles Sumner, Brandon Walter starting to close a little bit onto Sumner now. Unfortunately, they're just a little bit too far spread out at this point. None of them can really get an advantage, but you see Daniel Knight, wow, he got very loose off of 1 and 2 that time by, had to come all the way down onto the apron to avoid getting into a wreck, and Brandon Walter hits the outside wall very hard through 3 and 4, still scraping it. We're going to take a replay of this.
Yeah, you can see here, he is turning the wheel. He'll come down the back straightaway here and watch his approach into the corner, because that's gonna change things up. He tries to turn it in. You can see he's got that wheel cranked, but it just did not want to turn.
So a little update on Abner Acosta. Currently in 2nd place behind Bradley Holly, 1.5 seconds back, and that gap has closed. Remember, it was about 2.5 seconds when Abner got into 2nd place. Could this be a repeat of last week, Chris?
Well, as great of a race as these two had a week ago, I can surely say that I hope it is a replay of last week.
Looks like Brendan Chatley is going to come down and take some tires and fuel. Actually, I believe he was retired from this race, so Brendan Chatley has had his own incident that has taken him out of this race, unfortunately. Abner Acosta, while he did gain on Bradley Holly initially, it looks like he's starting to lose time now to Bradley Holly. His last lap about 1.5 tenths slower than Holly's. It's going to be nip and tuck for these drivers, but remember, Abner first needs to get to Bradley and then needs to pass him, and that's the hard part.
Yeah, it's definitely one thing to catch Bradley Holly. It's a whole different set of challenges to try to pass him.
And Thomas Sink, after spending 2 minutes in the pits, has officially retired from this race, unfortunately. We're going to take a look at P6, though, because Brett Adams in that must-win scenario, challenged by Adam Zemke here. I think Brett's damage is just too much to overcome, Chris.
Yeah, there's definitely a tipping point, and I think, unfortunately, the 23 has gone over the edge as far as the amount of damage that truck can sustain and maintain its pace. And Zemke definitely looking to capitalize on it and make a pass here to break him that much closer into the top 10. Zemke did not make the qualifying time, so he's had a tough road to hoe here. He started 25th and is battling for the 6th position right now.
So here they go side by side. Brett Adams just trying to hang on that high side. He has no power off the corners anymore. Really struggling to rotate the truck through the center of the turn. Adam Zemke and Dan Cervantes Daniel Cervantes has hit the outside wall multiple times trying to make a pass on Brett Adams and is still in this fight. Here comes Adam Zemke with a decent run. He's going to look to the bottom side. Brett Adams sticking to that high side. Danny Cervantes looking on in the 8th position, looking at this battle for 6th spot. And it looks like Adams going to be able to hold it down on that bottom side. Oh, Brett almost clips the outside wall. That's going to make him susceptible to Danny Cervantes going below him now. Let's see whether Danny can hang on to it as they go into the next corner. He's going to have to back off just a little bit, trying to get that truck to turn. It ain't wanting to at this point. Brett Adams is going to hold on there and lead the two of them across the line, this time by Brett in 7th, Danny Cervantes in 8th. Danny's really going to pack it in, and so is Brett. He hits the outside wall hard.
Yeah, you can tell these drivers are giving it everything they have, but unfortunately these trucks can only take so much at this point.
And Chris, I can officially report that Bradley Holly is the only truck on the track without damage to it.
Ooh, he just got really close to the outside wall there just a second ago, so even that may be short-lived.
So out front with 1.8 seconds of a lead over Abner Acosta. He's continued to pull just a little bit. The 184 truck of Bradley Holly currently leading this race by quite a margin and by quite a buffer as far as damage is concerned. Oh, the 23 truck, you could see it on screen. He's really struggling to get into the corners. He hit the outside wall that time by as well.
Yeah, he clobbered the wall there.
We're going to take a look at the battle between Adam Shane and Dominic Pagine. Dominic in a much better off truck. He makes that pass easy, but Mike Richter, his truck's not looking too hot in that number 51 machine. He's going to be trying to make the pass on Adam Shane as well. Adam very shallow on it into the corner there. Mike Richter with a good run onto the back straight here. He's going to look to the inside. Adam Shane on the outside trying to hold on to that truck. Mike Richter looks like he's still got some decent turn-in that machine on the bottom side. He's going to try and do the slide job and just barely get it done. Looks like kind of backed off a little bit as we look on towards out the rear window of the 51.
You know, one of my favorite things that we see here at Darlington, and it's another Harold Grazington creation of the Rockingham Speedway, that I just love to watch is when you see the drivers sail the vehicles off into the corner, and then it's almost like they wait for the track to grab it. Like most of these other tracks, you can watch the drivers, they are really setting their trajectory into the corner, but at these more unique tracks like Darlington and Rockingham, I just love the way that it just seems like the track really determines what you're going to do.
One of my favorite things about this track and other tracks like it, I get a similar feeling. It doesn't look like it from the outside, but you get a similar feeling when you race Dover as well. And here we go with Mike Richter currently chasing down Dominic Pagine. He made his pass on Adam Shane and has left him in the dust just a little bit, and Richter looking quite a bit faster than Pagine at this point. Let's see whether he can get the job done here. Currently on lap 75 of 95, so 21 laps to go for these drivers right now. Bradley Holly has increased that lead over Abner Acosta by a full second, out to 2.7 seconds over Abner Acosta, as Mike Richter closes on the back of the Pagine, who's closing in on the back of Doug Evans.
You know, these drivers complaining about tires and almost harkens back to the original Southern 500 back in 1950. I believe there was like north of 70 cars that started that one, and they went through so many tires in that race. They were actually breaking into the parking lot and stealing tires off of cars that were parked at the track to make it through the end of the race.
Unfortunately, I don't believe that would work in today's NASCAR, but Dominic Pagine making the pass on Doug Evans. Mike Richter with a good exit off of 3 and 4 is going to try and do the same. He's going to get to the door, but not quite affect the pass this time by Dominic Pagine ahead of Doug Evans and Mike Richter going into 1 and 2, but Mike Richter takes that position away through the center of 1 and 2, and Mike Richter can set off pursuing Dominic Pagine one more time. But just up ahead of them, Mark Kalin chasing down Doyle Lawrence for 9th position. Mark and Doyle both struggling, and Doyle actually hit the outside wall, scraped that up pretty bad, so he's going to fall back to this battle that we're watching right now between Pagine and Richter. And here's Zemke and Brandon Walter. This is important for the points because Brandon Walter losing this position will mean that I believe Charles Sumner will overtake him in the championship round of 4. This would put Charles Sumner into that transfer spot. I'll have to do the math, which is always a little bit terrifying, but Adam Zemke into the 5th position.
Whatever you do, don't forget to carry the 1.
Up ahead of them, Charles Sumner has once again closed onto the back of Daniel Knight. It took him a while, but he's finally gained that time back. But man, you can just see how much of a struggle it is to get these trucks off of the corner now. I mean, they're really driving more like lawn darts at this point, Chris.
Yeah, I in absolutely no way envy any of the drivers out there right now. These trucks cannot be any fun to drive.
That is the lap truck of Nicholas Hunter that they're going by. Nicholas pulling up the inside, letting these guys get the preferred line at the top of the track. It's off of 1 and 2 that both Daniel Knight and Charles Sumner really seem to struggle. They don't want to back off too much through the corner and lose all that exit speed, but unfortunately the right front tire just not giving them the purchase that they're looking for. This position is very important for Daniel Knight. And oh, Charles Sumner hits the outside wall and almost loses it coming down towards the bottom side through 3 and 4. Manages to hang on to that truck. Oh boy, that was a close moment there for him. He's able to keep going.
It's going to be a tough break for Charles. You got to think he wants to get that truck moving up as much as he can with potentially a shot at the championship on the line.
Absolutely, Charles Sumner wanting to get up there, but he has to remember that points matter a lot at this race. He does not want to lose the points that he has already over Brandon Walter. Getting in a wreck here would mean that his championship hopes for the year-long championship would be over. Daniel Knight, on the other hand, is thinking about the season championship with his position in 3rd right now. We're going to take a look at him right now as he's trying to stay ahead of Charles Sumner. Daniel Knight wants to lose as few points to Bradley Holly as possible. Bradley up there in the 1st position, now 3.5 seconds ahead of Abner Acosta, who's ailing and falling back. But Daniel Knight not able to close the gap either. He has too much damage.
Yeah, we mentioned it before. With all these different championships at play, there is a lot of different agendas that are at stake here in this race today. One
interesting battle that's going on now is in 9th place with Mark Kalin once again under pressure from Doyle Lawrence, Dominic Bagine, and Mike Richter. These guys all battling for that final position in the top 10. Doyle Lawrence currently under the most pressure from Bagine and Richter in that number 9 truck. So we take a look at Bradley Holly out there, currently crossing the line for the 10-lap mark there. We're going to go down to about a 4P10 though, because this is very interesting here. These 3 drivers with significant damage are all trying to figure out how to get by each other.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much expected at this point. These trucks are out. But Doyle Lawrence doing a pretty good job holding the position as Dominic Bagine and Mike Richter both trying to give chase.
Yeah, it looks like Richter just really struggling to get the truck to turn through the center of the corner. Bagine seems to be the one who has the best understanding of it. He's really backing off through the exits of these corners, through the center of the corner rather, to make sure that he gets that nose pointed towards the exit. But these trucks absolutely on their last legs at this point. The tires are screaming for mercy. And Doyle Lawrence hits the outside wall, and there goes Dominic Bagine up the outside.
Yeah, he hit that wall a ton coming off the corner.
And here comes Mike Richter to do the over-under, trying to swap up Doyle Lawrence. He's going to pull to the inside, and looks like Doyle was able to lead that lap, and Mike Richter is going to pull in front of Doyle and manage to keep it just barely out of the wall and exit 1 and 2. We're going to go on board with Doyle and see what he's struggling with right now.
Well, I'm pretty sure the biggest thing he's struggling with is tire wear.
Yeah, he's trying to get that thing to turn, but you can see it's just plowing into the corners at this point. Oh, Danish Cervantes into the pits.
At this point, you got to think maybe it's worth it to come down and maybe take a new set of tires.
With 7 laps to go, Chris, like that's a pretty risky proposition here.
Well, with how terrible all these trucks are handling and how much speed they're losing, who knows what desperate moves these guys. Maybe he just wants to make it through the last 7 laps of the race without gritting his teeth.
It's definitely a possibility as we take a look right now at Dominic Pagine in 8th, Mike Richter in 9th. Man, these positions in the bottom half of the top 10 have really swapped a lot since the restart and since halfway through, as we see Daniel Cervantes pulling out on the bottom of the track there on fresh tires. Cervantes, his fastest lap was a oh my gosh. So get this, Daniel Cervantes' fastest lap was a 28.4 versus the rest of the drivers right now pulling mid 31s. That's 3 seconds a lap faster.
That is insane. How terrible these trucks must feel for all those other drivers right now.
And Brett Adams just at the outside wall a ton, so he's now backing off towards the back of this field. That's Doyle Lawrence who's going to go by as well. So Brett Adams, unfortunately, his championship 4 is going to go out in style like this. Yeah.
Yeah, driving these trucks right now, it's very similar to driving a dump truck in a parking structure right now. I mean, they just won't turn.
Here's the battle for the 7th position between Mike Richter and Dominic Pagine. Dominic just with no speed in that truck. Mike Richter easily able to get by. And that's Danny Cervantes in behind. Let's see how quickly he dispatches of Mike Richter here. Ooh, it looks like he struggled a little bit to get off the corner, actually. So he falls back behind Dominic Pagine. So Doyle Lawrence trying to hang on to these guys. Daniel Cervantes as well. So Dominic Pagine and Doyle Lawrence battling for the 8th position right here. And now we've got a big cluster of trucks. This is our leader, Bradley Holly, in amongst them as well. Bradley on 3 to go this time by. Wow, he just smokes right by them. And on those old tires, Chris. Look at this gaggle.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a white knuckle moment here for all those drivers trying to keep it off of each other.
Tons of trucks with different speeds, and Daniel Knight has hit pit lane. Daniel Knight in the pits. This is a big development in the season-long points championship as Bradley Holly got 2 to go. Daniel Knight came into the pits from 3rd position, has already dropped down to 5th, and is still trundling down pit road. Did he not get enough fuel in that machine?
Yeah, that's a pretty good possibility. I don't know if these drivers really had a chance to anticipate this much green flag running here today. I know coming into this, I expected there to be a lot more than one caution.
Daniel Knight rolling once again from his pit stop, but already down to 13th position as Bradley Holly on the final lap now, about to go through 3 and 4 and secure the season-long points championship lead going into the final round of the season. Bradley Holly is going to take the win here at Darlington with a clean truck.
And literally the only clean truck on the track.
Quite literally the only clean truck on the track. So Bradley comes in first. Our other championship top 3, Daniel Knight 13th, Thomas Sink 23rd. Bradley Holly once again proving that he has the steel to get out there and battle with the best. Well, that's going to take us to our post-race break here, but don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss the interviews we have on store as well as the unofficial results. We'll try and do a little bit of championship calculations, but things got very shaken up today. But don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss this. Welcome back to round 9, the penultimate round here of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, sponsored by WEBB Hearing Centers here on the GSRC. And what a clinic we saw tonight. Bradley Holly, in a spotless truck, comes home for the win ahead of Abner Acosta and Charles Sumner. Charles Sumner, I'm pretty sure he's going to secure his spot into the championship. Forward with that, we'll take a look at that again. But Adam Zemke coming home in 4th. Brandon Walter, a very solid finish for him, coming home in 5th, with Mike Richter hanging on for 6th position in a very damaged truck. Dominic Bajin falling down to 7th with Adam Shane 8th. Brett Adams, in his massively damaged truck, manages to hold on to 9th, with Doyle Lawrence in 10th. Only the top 6 on the lead lap, Chris.
But just outside of the top 10 was Doug Evans coming home in 11th, with Stacy Hunter outside of him. And then, 12th on the grid, 13th was Daniel Knight after making that late pit stop. 14th was Nicholas Hunter with Mark Kalin coming home 15th. First truck 2 laps down. Danny Cervantes, another driver that had to make a late pit stop, comes home 16th. 17th was Austin Hunter, Jose Medina 18th, Brendan Chatley 19th, and John LaBaff completing the top 20. Those last 2, unfortunately, retiring from the event.
The rest of the trucks you see on your screen, including Thomas Sink and Colton Lane, who came in here battling for championship spots. Thomas Sink in the season-long championship and Colton Lane in the year-long championship, all DNFs tonight. And we have our winner here to talk to us. Bradley, you had the only clean truck left on the track tonight. I guess I have to ask the question, how'd you do it?
Babied that truck like no other.
How tough was it out there? It seemed like when the tires went, everything just went south for you guys. You guys were pushing, sliding off the corners. How tough was that setup out there tonight?
Oh, it was ridiculous. I mean, first 2 laps it felt great, and then it's just it felt like your right front was on ice versus your rear tires, and it just pushed like a dump truck.
So Bradley, a great win today. That's 2 wins in the round of 8, going into the championship 4 with Daniel Knight taking that late pit stop and falling down to 13th. You're going to go into the final round with a lead in the season-long championship as well. You have the potential to clinch 3 championships next week. What are your thoughts heading into Nashville, or 2 weeks from now?
Get as much practice as I can, try to be as consistent as I can, and see what I can pull off. Nashville's going to be a tough race, and with Daniel Thomas and I think Brandon, it's going to be an interesting race. See who can come out on top.
Absolutely, Bradley. Well, thanks for talking to us, and we definitely look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time at Nashville for the season finale.
Yep. Thank you very much.
That was Bradley Holly, our winner tonight, and it looks like Chris Phoebe has caught up with Abner Acosta, who finished in the 2nd position.
Well, Abner, you back up your win from a week ago with a 2nd place finish. What did you think of Darlington out there today?
Hello, guys. Good evening. It was pretty rough. I definitely think I need more laps in this track. Definitely, I'm not confident at all. I was just scared of the wall, and I did hit it a lot of times. I'm surprised I even came 2nd. But yeah, I think I just need more experience on it. It's just I'm just too afraid of the wall, and to be good here, you gotta be comfortable riding that wall.
Now, the tire drop-off here just seemed absolutely terrible for you guys. How hard was it to try to manage the tires throughout this race?
It was pretty tough. I was having a lot of trouble for whatever reason in turn 1 and 2. Turn 3 and 4, I felt fine with the tire wear, but 1 and 2, again, I was just not confident. I was just maybe lifting too much, and just wasn't able to catch Bradley at the end there.
All right. Anyone you want to thank to help make your run possible tonight, Abner?
Sure, my team, Level Motorsports. I also want to thank PRL and you guys for broadcasting. I'm doing a great job. Thank you.
All right, that was Abner Acosta, our runner-up here tonight, and I believe you have caught up with our 3rd place finisher, Charles Sumner, Adam.
Yeah, Charles coming out here and doing a great job to come home and finish 3rd. It seemed like everybody had some moments with the wall tonight. Well, how was your race tonight?
Yeah, unfortunately, once or twice those moments happened right in front of me, and I got some nose damage early, and the truck wasn't quite the same. Ultimately, I came into this race really happy with my pace, and really happy with the way it turned out. I like to see if I could have had a clean nose and maybe just sniff Brad and Abner a little bit, but ultimately, I've been super snake bitten this season, as you guys have seen. So to finally get this top 5, 9 races in, I'll take it.
And Charles, how surprised were you to see Daniel Knight pull off in the closing laps of that race, the last 2 laps? Were you that close on fuel, or do you think that might have been damage related?
Well, honestly, when we made the pit stop, I knew we were going to be really, really close. So whenever we went green, I was kind of lifting and using the draft to my advantage. When I saw Daniel pull in, I was like, all right. And I had my fingers crossed. I'm like, Brad, Abner, do it, do it, do it. And unfortunately for me, they made it.
Well, Charles, your first time up here in the top 3 and the top 5 this season. Is there anyone you want to thank for your performance tonight and this season as well?
Yeah, I don't get to do this often, so let me run through the list. First off, Tropicana. Want to thank them and PepsiCo so much for letting me run the schemes that I get to run every week. For the PRL, the management team, and our sponsors, Web Steering Center, Ninja Trader, ButtKicker, Simza, Bradley Holly and Adam Young, my organizers who helped make everything possible here. Yeah, I think that should, and of course, GSRC for the great job you guys do week in and week out for us.
Well, it's great to see you up here, Charles, and hopefully we'll see you up here next 2 weeks from now as well.
Fingers crossed. Take it easy, Adam.
All right, that was Charles Sumner, our 3rd place finisher. And Chris, you've caught up with Thomas Sink, who may not have had the greatest day today.
Well, Thomas, definitely not the race you were hoping for. Things ended a little bit prematurely for you, but up to that point, you were making your way through the field pretty good. Tell us about your ride up to that point.
Yeah, and I was just doing my best to save tires and work my way through the field. The Muscle Farm Chevy it was really good. I was saving some tires. Just a lot of sketchy drivers around me. I was hoping to get up in the top 10 and be able to run a little bit better. I mean, ultimately it's my fault. I put myself in a bad position, which put me in a bad position in the back with those guys.
Now, after a tough race like this, how do you kind of mentally reset and get ready to hit the ground running for Nashville in a couple weeks?
Yeah, I'll debrief with the guys, and just one of those things you have to have the headspace to just kind of leave it in Darlington. It's the race is done and over with, and we'll go to Nashville, practice, and hopefully for the best again.
All right, best of luck to you in a couple weeks, Thomas. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night.
That was Thomas Sink, who finished today. Unfortunately, in 23rd, did not finish this race, but that's going to be it for our race today. We want to give a big thank you to the Precision Racing League for bringing us on for yet another season, and a big thank you to their season sponsor, Web Hearing Centers. Make sure to visit them in the link in the description, and also the ButtKicker for sponsoring the entire league this season. We also want to give a shout out to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast that are listed here on your screen. And as always, many thanks to June Wand, who provides our awesome music. See the screen to check out her Bandcamp and get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team tonight, Chris, Sean, and Dougie. If you want to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find us at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And if you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenvy.com. That link is also in the description below. If you want to see more racing action, you see that big red subscribe button, make sure to click it and make it turn gray. That way you won't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Now, for these drivers, they have a week off because of Thanksgiving. Then we get to the final round, which is Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, December 2nd at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You are definitely not going to want to miss the end of this eventful championship. Next up for us, though, that's going to be the Lionheart IndyCar Series coming up in just a couple minutes with a couple of these legendary co-commentators as well. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen, so check those out and mark them down in your calendar. But until then, we hope you've enjoyed joining us for the race tonight as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. And we hope to see you back on our channel soon. But until next time, for our PRL fans, have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. And remember, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.